Hello, Rafi. It's really great to see you, and thanks for taking time to be part of our October conference. And the title is from the New Testament, a verse where it says, "Rejoice, O Gentiles, with his people." And of course, we know it's a quote from Deuteronomy. So we are here together as Gentiles, as Christian believers, and we want to rejoice with the Jewish people about the fact that God is bringing his people home to Israel. So thanks again for taking time. And maybe you can just tell our viewers where you are living and if you're a single or if you're married and have a child. So we know you a little bit better.
First of all, shalom to all of you. I'm very happy to be with you today here. My name is Rafi Heumann. I'm living now for 3 years in Berlin as a delegate of the organization Keren Hayesod. We will speak, I assume, after this more about this organization. I'm living with my wife, Oriane, and with my little child, Ruth, here. And we're living now for 3 years in Berlin. We met in Israel, we came here together, and now we are here.
Wow, thank you, Rafi. So I wonder always, as a Christian, before you came to Germany with the purpose to encourage people to support important projects in Israel, did you ever encounter Bible believers, Christian Bible believers, who are interested to bless Jewish people, or was it a first-time experience for you?
To be honest with you, Johannes, no, I didn't heard in Israel. I met few people, Christian believers that were very pro-Israel and did a great job for Aliyah, but I didn't know that it's such a huge group of people that supporting the Jewish people all around Israel and are a part of us, a part of our mission to increase the Aliyah numbers and to bring Jews to their homeland. As I said, I met few people. They were amazing. They were 100%. And they were actually like Israelis until the point they told me about their belief. I couldn't guess that they are not Jew. You know, that the same topic, everything is the same. Just the believing was other. And until the point they discover me, the secret as a joke. It was a normal conversation with them, a normal friend and everything. And since I am here in Berlin, I see how many people are involved in this Aliyah mission. But I think it's, as an Israeli, the news are full with, unfortunately, with bad news. You can't see good news there. And that's one of the reasons that there is an article in the Israeli news about how many people are supporting us outside from Israel.
Okay.
Since I hear, it's better than me because you are doing it more years. It's like one big organization.
Yeah. A few days ago, I saw a video clip from our dear friend Winfried, where you were sharing at a goodbye event for Olim, which happened in Berlin. And there we saw a Jewish agency, you from Keren Hayesod, we saw the local rabbi, and then a Christian people together at such an occasion. So that must have been something very new and unexpected for you.
It was so special. A lot of points were so special, but I will begin with the history. I'm in Berlin, the main city of the evil in the history. Here, as you said, the local rabbi, the delegate of Keren Hayesod, the Jewish agency, and Winfried and Judith from Eben Ezer, all together helping Jews to come to Israel and make the Aliyah much more comfortable and much more easy than it is. it was a very touchable event for me to see how many Olim Chadashim there is, young people with the great program Na'aleh that the Jewish Agency and the B'nai are supporting. It's amazing. There were children with 16 and 17 years old saying goodbye to their parents and going to Israel to 3 years to study there and to grow up there. And it's a great decision also to the parents. It's not easy. I mean, you're also a father to children, and I am a father to a young boy. But the understanding that is the important thing in the life, that every Jew will live in Israel, and that supporting this, also the parents and of course the children, that they're choosing to move to another country with another language, with another friend and everything. It was very, very touchable. And the last thing, the cooperation between the three organizations. And it's not the first year, I think for me, it's the third year that I'm participating in such an event. There is a roll-up from Eben Ezer and the Jewish Agency. And if you think about it, one roll-up for two organizations that are active for one great mission. And I know that you're active all around the world, not just in Germany, all around the world. And your main issue is actually identify to our main mission, to our main issue, to support the Aliyah project.
Yeah. So would you, out of your experience, encourage your colleagues, maybe in other countries, to do similar things and to help, as that we can have also group flights from countries where now we even don't think about? Or what would you tell them, to your colleagues?
Of course, I would suggest them to use the tools that the organization are supporting to make Aliyah, because I know there are a lot of people that want to make Aliyah, but if you, to be honest, it's also a little bit scary. I mean, again, you need to leave sometimes your families, your friends, your house, and everything. But it's much less scary if you have someone that take you in your hand, like Winfried here in Berlin, like Julia from the Jewish Agency here in Berlin. They're taking those people hand in hand and helping them all the process. In the start with the documents and the bureaucracy in the beginning until the end, that they are taking them really, it's not a metaphor, hand by hand to the airplane and until they're landing in Israel, and to the absorption center or to the home or everyone with his destination. But it's much more easier that you have someone with a lot of, with a lot of, with a lot of experience that helped thousands of people and met all the difficulties that everyone can meet in such a process. And he knows or she knows how to help to this person.
Yeah. So, you work for a wonderful organization, Karen Hayasod, which since so long time is helping in the establishment of Israel and in so many good projects. And we of Ebenezer, we are a very young organization, only 30 years. And we have to say that without your help, many of our projects would not be possible. Especially since the COVID situation, we have seen how important it is that sometimes we can organize fast help. So could you tell our supporters maybe some of the joint projects we were able to do together the past years, and especially during COVID?
Yeah. First of all, regarding our organization, Keren Hayasod, I'm now in my office, and Keren Hayasod is, as you mentioned, or you didn't mention, but we are 100 years of the founding of Keren Hayasod. And there are those posters here. They are old posters. It's okay. That you can see, right?
Yeah, I can see. Yes.
Okay, but it's the posters from the 20 or 30 And you see here, help him build Palestine. And in Yiddish, helft ihm bauen Eretz Israel. Or here, we are all in the same boat. You know what I want to show you, that the mission of Aliyah and to bring Jews to Israel was from the beginning, from the 1920 until now. It was one of our big mission, and it's still, and it's really thanks your organization and thanks to your cooperation with us. It's much more easier to do it. That's not regarding your question, but it was something important to me to say regarding your question about project that you supported in the last few years. First of all, I will start with a very important project that it's also very important to me. It calls Amigur. It's for Holocaust survivors, and it gives elderly people that are Holocaust survivors a possibility to live in dignity in apartments. We have such building around 68 buildings all over Israel. And you supported a very, very big project in Ashdod. It's when one of you wasn't yet in Israel, it's a beautiful city south from Tel Aviv, around 40 minutes. And I mean, it's for me, it's a very touchable project because the people suffered so much in their life. And now they came to a point in their life that they really can't pay a normal rent, unfortunately, for an apartment. And those projects support those people. And there are more than 20 people on the waiting list. We're still building all the time. But there are just, you know, it will not be a project now for forever. It's a project that is limited for a few years, unfortunately. And in those few years, one of my and from Karen Asad main purpose is to help those people to live their last years in dignity. In Hebrew, you say lechiot bekavod, to live in dignity. That was one big project that you supported us. Another big project was now in May. There was a big a war in Israel, and a lot of Olim Chadashim were in the absorption center, and they needed to run to the shelter after each siren. They were there, each siren and everything. And thanks to your support, we succeeded to buy them also tablets and also activities for the children, because I hope that no one of you know or will live or will need to be in such experience to run with these children to a shelter. But I was in Israel in May for a visit, and I was in Ashdod to visit the parents of my wife. And in the middle of the street, we were on the car. Suddenly there is a siren. And if you're alone, it's not fun, but you're feeling safe because there is the Iron Dome, and there is not a lot of injuries in those cases. But if you have a child and you need to protect him, it's much more scary than to be alone. And those families that needed to be, I don't know, 20, 30 times a day in a shelter, to run to the shelter, and then to find something that will also pass the time for the children. It's not easy to be with the 8-year-old child or a 6-year-old or 10 years old. You need to think how you can make them not enjoy, but make the time pass away. And thanks to your support, this one was something that we could afford to bring them. The last thing that I want to mention is some special Aliyah cases that you support. There was, for example, one family from Europe. I don't want to say from where, but from Europe. They were very, very ill. That one of the child was very, very ill, and they needed a special service to bring them to Israel. And thanks you support, we succeed to bring them to Israel safely and healthy.
Well, thank you very much, Rafi. And I think that's our heart wherever we can, especially if there's this special needs and if it's an emergency situation, we try to do our best. And I want to pass on to all our supporters as a willingness, especially since early last year, to give a special donation. So thank you very much.
Thank you. It's very important to me to say also thank you very much to all your supporters. Toda Rabba. It's really, really important. And you know, I just named now 3 projects that you support, but you support much more than those 3 projects. And really, thank you very much. Toda Rabba.
Yeah. Well, one question which comes up sometimes, if people in Israel find out that Christians invest in Israel, like with the apartments, or with other projects, I mean, they could think for sure it's a wrong motivation behind it. You know, have you experienced this, that it's sometimes not easy for people to maybe even accept help from Christians, or what's your experience?
No, Toda Lael, how do you say, God, thanks God, I didn't have such an experience. I can't understand such thoughts. I'm not saying that there's not people that saying this, because, you know, crazy people are all over the world, and maybe there are also people in Israel that are saying just what you said, but I didn't experience any of this thoughts. I didn't hear someone. In the opposite, I have to say, in the opposite, it's much more. I don't want to say much more, but it's equal for me if it's a Jew or a non-Jew. I mean, the idea that someone, even if he's non-Jew, supporting Israel, you know, it's even a better ambassador to Israel, because if a Jew is defending or supporting Israel, it's like, okay, you're a Jew, of course you're supporting Israel. But if Christians are supporting Israel, it's something more than it. You know, you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Then I don't see a problem in the. You know, I saw just in the news that there is a Jewish community in Germany that got a Torah scroll from a Christian organization. I don't know if you saw it. Yeah. And it's amazing. And you could say also that maybe it's something wrong that the Christian organization gave, but no, that's the beauty in our life. I think that's exactly the beauty in our life.
Oh. I personally think it's the real privilege. And after all the history, the bad history between Christian and Jews, it's almost like if God gives us maybe a last chance to do things different. I mean, none of us can change the past, but I always say now we are responsible for our generation. So I see it as a really great privilege, and we are thankful for this wonderful. It's not only doing things together, it's really like a friendship, you know, which is growing. And maybe last not least, you made Aliyah yourself, and as you have mentioned before, there are more and more, especially here in Europe, families and singles thinking about making Aliyah. So do you have some advices which you would give to them to help them to have a successful absorption?
I made Aliyah many years ago in '93. I was 9 years old. For my mother, it was very, very important. She leaves Israel after she married my father, and they moved to Switzerland. And for her, it was very, very important that we will go back to Israel. And really, when I was 9 years old, they got the decision that we will make Aliyah. To be honest, in the beginning, I didn't want, because as I said, it's very difficult to think that you leave your house, your environment, your friends, your school, everything, and to go to a new country. Although I knew the language, Hebrew, because I always spoke with my mother Hebrew since I was 0 years old, it was very, very hard for me to think about to leave to Israel. I liked to visit Israel in summer vacation and everything, but to live in Israel, it was very difficult to me to think about it. And I can say you now that I'm every day very, very thankful to my parents that made the decision to come to Israel. I grew up in Switzerland and I like this country, okay? But my heart is in Israel, and I know that I came, the person that I came to, and now working for Keren Yesod, and do all the important things and activity for Israel. I couldn't do if we didn't make Aliyah. And I must also say it was much more easier than I thought, because Israel is a very, very round country. And the advantage in Israel is that it's a very young country. I mean, there's not people that living for 100 years in Israel. There are very few people that were actually born and raised in Israel. The most parents, I mean, my generation, maybe yes, but our parents came from Europe, from Arab countries, from Russia, from Ethiopia, from the States. And you can find people that are similar to you very, very easily. My advice, there are three advices. First of all, connect the Jewish Agency and Ebenezer in your city. It's really make it much more easier than to do it alone or with other people. That's my first advice. Second advice is to learn Hebrew. I think Hebrew, to know the local language can always help, especially in Israel, that you can get very good around also with English, but it's much more welcome if you know Hebrew. That means if you know that you want to make Aliyah in the next year or two, start to study Hebrew, even in the internet. You don't need to write academic work in Hebrew, but just know a few words. And the third advice, to try to make as soon as possible new friends in Israel. Not to stay just with your friends from your country. Try to make your networking bigger and bigger and bigger. I think it will be much more easier to come in this way to Israel.
Wow. Thank you very much, Rafi. I think that was very helpful for hopefully many more Olim to come. And yeah, I want to thank you now for taking time being with us again. And hopefully the next time we can be in a live meeting. It would be, of course, much better. Please give our greetings to Orly, and we wish you all the best in Berlin. And again, hopefully we see each other in person. Amen. So may God bless you and
Amen.
Be with
you.
Just
one sentence in Hebrew, I want to say, תודה רבה על תמיכתכם במדינת ישראל. תודה רבה. Thank you very much for your support in Israel and the Jewish people around the world. Thank you very much.